Thank you everybody for joining us today with Azamara Cruises. My name is Roxanne. I'm a luxury cruise travel planner and I work with Oasis Travel Network. We're part of a huge consortium called Signature Travel Network. We always have some good onboard credits and fun things to share with you. But today I'm excited to share with you that I do have Lori Nojam here. She's my key account manager from Azamara Cruises, and she's here to tell us some great new things that are happening with the brand. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Roxanne. Thanks so much for having me here.
Thank you.
So you want me to go ahead and just share some info with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, it'd be my pleasure. So yeah, we've always got, so much exciting stuff going on. I'm going to just talk a little bit about sort of um, who the Azamara brand, who we are, kind of what we're known for, some of the things that we're doing right now to really even up our status in the destination immersion world. But as Roxanne said, my name's I'm the key account manager for Azamara Cruises. So I'm going to go back to that video. I'm sorry I kind of jumped on that, but I do want to show you a little bit about really the Azamara brand in general. Oops. Alrighty, try that again. There.
Push beyond the obvious, and perspective is open to change. When you see parts unknown in ports less known, unwind, stay the night, and just slow down. Wander, but never wonder what a place is really like. The difference is night and day. Azamara, change the way you see.
So I love that video because to me, it really kind of encompasses who Azamara is. I had an opportunity to take two different cruises this summer on Azamara, one for my vacation and one for work. And it is true, when you spend more time in port, when you're there later in the day, when you're there into the night, it totally changes how you look at the ports of call because all of a sudden you're seeing it from the eyes of the locals. So many times you're on cruises and they're pulling out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you're back on board by 4:30, and you miss that whole aspect of the port when the locals come out, when people are sitting outside and having a coffee or a glass of wine, enjoying some tapas or something. And when you're with Azamara, we'll talk a little bit more about kind of what I think that difference is night and day kind of means, at least to me, and I think to a lot of our guests. So if you're not familiar with our fleet, we are four what we call boutique hotels at sea. We have four ships. They're basically all identical. In fact, that slide needs to be updated because we did just refurbish all four of our ships in 2023. So that is a little outdated, but all of our ships are an average of 700 guests and 408 crew members. So what that means when you're on board is incredible levels of service and that small ship experience, which if you have not had the opportunity to sail on a small ship, I will tell you it is completely different. Than being on the big ships. And a lot of people, when they think about cruising, they think about those big ships, and the experience on board Azamara is so different. So why do I think that Azamara is so incredible? I think a lot of it is our itineraries. And that's usually what makes people come to Azamara the first time is that we have the most interesting, unique, and immersive itineraries. And we have what we call country intensive voyages, where we literally focus on one country and do the entire coast of a country on a cruise. They're such amazing itineraries. And we stay there longer than any other ship. And we'll talk a little bit more about that because I think that even though we have amazing food and incredible service and the most wonderful crew at sea, the late nights and overnights are really what makes Azamara brand so unique. As I mentioned before, we average 700 guests. And I say average because Our three first ships that we had, that when I showed you those four, hold 700 guests. And then we purchased another of the same ships back in 2022, and that ship happens to have a few more suites on it. So it holds a few less guests. So that's why we always say an average of 700 guests. And I talked about that late night and overnight. So when we talk about the fact that Azamara spends more time in port than any other cruise line, we really looked at some of the cruise lines that we think are kind of in our competitive set. And this really shows that by far we have the highest percentage of late night and overnight stays of any other cruise line.
Lori, I do book a lot of those cruise lines,
Yeah,
and I'm very fortunate with my clientele. And I do share a lot of Azamara because you do have these most amazing, sometimes I just tell my client, unless you're really stuck to a product, right? And you really love that, that's one thing. But other than that, where do you want to go? And let me show you what's out there. Because
exactly. And a lot of
you,
times it really does come down to the itinerary, because when you're talking to people that are well traveled,
and there's a
they're
lot of it, yeah.
they really come down to these. If I go to Greece, I want to go to these places, or if I go to Croatia, I want to do more than just Dubrovnik.
Absolutely.
I want to see all these other places that
Yes,
the typical cruise lines don't stop in. So
absolutely.
when somebody asks me, well, how do I know if I would like Azamara? I say, do you want to spend more time in port? Because that's really what it comes down to a lot of times. And I also say, when you're looking at Azamara or any other cruise lines that you're comparing, look at what is included in the cruise fare, because every brand is a little bit different. I think that Azamara has one of the best value propositions in our price point. I think that what you get included in your cruise truly makes it hands down one of the best values out there. Um, I think number one is our drink package. So we include the standard drink package, which include your spirits, beer, wine, soda, bottled water, coffee, and teas are included in your fare. Um, I was just looking at another cruise line that I have to go on for a conference, and I looked at what they charge for a drink package per day. I almost fell over. I forgot what it's like to have that included in your fare. Same with tips and gratuities. We include all of your tips and gratuities. I think those two things by themselves, if you look at what you pay for those on other cruise lines, is just, I don't know, I think puts us, so far ahead as far as value goes. We have something called our Oz Amazing Evenings. And these are incredible. These are exclusive to the Ozamara brand, where on cruises of 9 nights or more, we take all of our guests ashore. So it's basically like having an included shore excursion. And we take you to some incredible performance that's local to that area and that's created just for our Ozamara guests. And of cruises of 7 or 8 nights, which are not very many, we do those Oz Amazing Evenings on board the ship. We also include self-service laundry, unlimited. We have a laundry room. We provide all of the soaps and dryer sheets and all that stuff. And it just makes it nice because you don't have to pack so much. A lot of our cruises are longer. A lot of our guests do back-to-backs. So that's what's always included on every single Azamara cruise, plus whatever amazing promotion we happen to have going on at the
And
time.
don't forget to pack something white, right, Lori?
Oh, yes. In addition to that Oz Amazing Evening that we do, we have the most incredible white night party that I've ever seen anywhere, hands down. I don't care if it's a hotel, a cruise. We transform the entire pool deck into this beautiful white party. Everything's draped in white. Um, all of the officers are cooking for you. They wheel out the grills. They're grilling steak and lamb and lobster, and there's a sushi bar, and there is food that the most incredible array of food that I've ever seen. Everyone dresses in white, and when dinner's over, our singers and dancers come out and they play music, and everyone dances into the night. It is just absolutely, in my opinion, the best party at sea. So
On
don't
every
forget to pack your
voyage,
white.
right? On every voyage, Lori, there's a
Every
white party.
voyage has a white night. Every single
Awesome.
voyage, no matter what the length.
Excellent.
Yep. So I'm going to show you a little bit what it looks like to walk on board one of our beautiful little ships. This is the foyer. We call it the foyer. It's also where the front desk is, where our concierge is. But this is really, when you walk on board an Azamara ship, it feels like you're walking into a home, a beautiful historic home. Everything is so warm and inviting all throughout the ship. We have wonderful public spaces. So I always say we're not a big ship, but we have everything the big ships have, just in a little bit smaller size. Our cabaret lounge is where our singers and dancers perform. We have the living room, which we do different games and things during the day, but then at night, the band comes up, the band plays, everyone dances, a DJ plays until late into the night. So we have really fun nightlife. The den, which is kind of the hub of the ship, that's where our piano bar is. Again, this is another form of entertainment. We always have a piano player, and at night he performs every night. And those two areas are really fun, and everyone just enjoys listening to music, dancing, all that good stuff. We have every different cabin category. We are known for having some beautiful suites. I'll give you kind of an idea of what our suites look like. The bulk of our inventory, though, is in our veranda category. Our veranda rooms are super comfortable, beautiful balcony. Azamara has some of the most incredible bedding that I've ever been on any cruise ship. Most comfortable bedding. We have ocean views, and then we do have some inside cabins as well. Not a lot, but these ships were built when they were still inside cabins on cruise ships, which I know a lot of the all suites aren't building them that way anymore, but they still come in handy a lot of times for if a family decides to come or something like that to bring their kids on board. So this is a look at, and we made this video, the sales team, when we were on board last year. But this is our Club World Owner Suite. This is the largest suite that we have on board our ship. It's 603 square feet. The veranda is 233 square feet. It's absolutely beautiful. If you stay in a suite, you get all kinds of additional amenities. You get a butler who will do everything for you, unpack you, pack you. They'll serve tea in your cabin every afternoon. There's all kinds of special amenities. And we're actually even upping that next year, starting in April of 2026. We've added even more amenities for our suite guests. So that's one category. We also have our spa suite. This actually happens to be my favorite. It's not as big as the World Owner Suite, but it has the most fabulous bathroom. You can see right there, the tub is a huge soaking tub with floor to ceiling windows. There's only 2 spa suites on board, so they're hard to get, but well worth it if you can manage to book one of those. So beautiful accommodations. And of course, dining, one of the hottest topics always with cruising is dining. So included, because we talked about what was all included, is your dining in the Discovery's dining room, which we serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What I love about Discovery's is it's open seating, so you don't have to make any reservations. You can go there at whatever party size you want. I think we have everything up to a table for 10. But if you're just a couple sailing alone and you just want a lovely little table for 2, or maybe you're with some other friends, we've got every different table size. There's a beautiful bar right outside of Discovery, so that's always my favorite spot to stop and have a glass of wine, and then go in and dine. Mosaic Cafe, I think, is one of the best coffee shops that I've ever been to. They've got all their specialty coffees there, which of course I said are included. And then they've got snacks in the morning and all day, if you want a little light bite to eat. Windows is our buffet. We really take buffet to a whole new level, though. Every night in Windows Cafe is a different theme. So it might be Italian night, it might be seafood night, Indian night, Thai night. So every night is very authentic cuisine. And then, of course, it's open in the breakfast for breakfast and lunch, and there's a beautiful outside dining area as well. And then the patio. The patio is poolside. So it's on the pool deck. It's open for lunch every day and it's casual lunch, like burgers and wraps and salads. But then at night, we bring out the tablecloths and the waiter service, and it's another dining venue. So if you want to eat under the stars, you don't want to put on a pair of pants to go to the dining room, you can dine outside in the patio. So that, as well as 24-hour room service, which if you have dined on a ship where you find out that they charge you $5 to deliver coffee in addition to the cost of the coffee, you will understand how important that 24-hour complimentary room service really is.
Nice.
So, yes, and I know that because I happened to go on a conference on another cruise line and I didn't give it a thought. I ordered my coffee in the morning like I do every day and didn't realize that it's not always included and it's not always complimentary for your delivery. So, one of those little things that I think are so nice to have.
Absolutely.
We do have two specialty restaurants. Now, if you happen to book a suite, you can have unlimited access to Prime Sea and Aquilina for the entire duration of your cruise. So there's no limit on how many times you can dine there. You can dine there at any time. If not, it's $49.95 per person, or you can purchase a dining package. So Prime Sea is our steakhouse. Aquilina is our Italian seafood restaurant. These are nice if you're looking for just kind of a more intimate dining experience one night. Maybe you're celebrating a special event, or you just want a quiet dinner for two. The specialty restaurants are wonderful places to enjoy that more intimate dining experience. And entertainment and wellness. So, as I mentioned, we have our shows on board, and we have special lecturers that come on board. We have local entertainers that come on board. So every night there is a selection of places to enjoy music in the evening. We have a fabulous exercise room, which I think for the size of the ship, the equipment that we have, the classes that we have are really perfect for anyone. And then the spa, my personal favorite, the Sanctum Spa, and they have everything from all of the treatments that you might want, but they also have a hair salon and nail salon. So, if you're on some of those longer cruises, you can take advantage of some of those services as well. And then we talked a little bit about like that destination immersion and the fact that because we're in port longer, you really have more opportunities to connect with the people and the cultures of the places that you're going to. So I'm just going to run through some itineraries so you can get an idea of kind of how we build our itineraries. I mentioned before those country intensives where we focus on, just one country. We sail all over the world. Our itineraries do not just repeat over and over again. They're always different. Our ships are always moving. And we have everything from 7 night up to world cruises. But I figured I'd show you a couple of different regions just to maybe whet your appetite. You might see an itinerary or a port of call that is of special interest to you that I'm sure Roxane would love to follow up and give you some options. So Mediterranean is probably where we have the most focus overall with our ships on an annual basis. So I just picked out a couple that I love. We call this the Mysteries and Lore of France Intensive. This is actually next April. It's 11 nights. And we'll always show you how many ports we're going to, how many overnights that we are going to be in. And this is a really nice France itinerary for someone that wants to experience that south of France region. I did this last year. I did another version of this last year. And, just to go to Provence, to go to Cannes, to go to Nice, Saint-Tropez, such an amazing part of France. And then we have many different options to see Italy. This one I love. This is Rome, Florence, and the Amalfi Coast. Amalfi is really different because most of the big cruise ships have to dock in Naples, and to go to the Amalfi Coast is a very long day. And we actually tender right off of Amalfi and Sorrento, and we spend the later into the evening in those two ports. So it's a great way to experience the Amalfi Coast. This also begins in, oh no, it begins in Nice and ends in Venice. So this is fabulous for Italy. One of our specialty cruises is actually our Grand Prix cruise. Um, this will take place next year in the end of May. And for those that are interested in Grand Prix, you can actually purchase the tickets as part of a shore excursion. So there's a couple of different options if you happen to want to see the Grand Prix. This is a wonderful Spain option. I actually just did Spain this summer. I did a 10-night Spain intensive that was similar to this. But what I want to point out on this itinerary is that the big cruise ships cannot go to Seville. It's actually at the end of the Guadalquivir River, which is inland into Spain. You can kind of see that there on the picture. But this is one case where our small ships allow us to sail up a river and actually dock right in the heart of Seville, which no other ships can do. You go through a lock, you sail all day, you go through a lock, you get there late afternoon, and you overnight in Seville or 2 nights in Seville. And it's just an absolutely fabulous way to see that part of Spain. And I mentioned before Croatia. Croatia has been so, so popular. I don't know if you're still seeing that, Roxanne, where there's
I
just
am.
such a huge
I share
interest.
this itinerary a lot.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah,
mean, we have a lot of different options, but like I mentioned before, the big ships basically go to Dubrovnik, maybe Dubrovnik and Split. But typically, that's as much of Croatia as you're going to see on a cruise ship. And if you were to do this itinerary by land, you would literally be packing and unpacking so many times and moving constantly. This is a wonderful way to see the entire coast of Croatia and do it unpacking just once. And Greece. What I love about our Greece itineraries, we have 30 different ports of call that we call on in Greece. So every Greece cruise is a little bit different. I did one last summer for vacation, and I look at this and it's amazing because maybe half the ports are the same. Um, but we do the marquee ports in Greece. Of course, we do Santorini, we do Mykonos, but what makes our Greece itinerary so fabulous is the little ports of call that they go to. So you can see on this particular itinerary, Syros, Paros, Patmos, these little ports that are so undiscovered in Greece, that, so it really, if you want to go to Greece, take a look at a few of our Greece itineraries and pick out some favorites, because those little ports, they're not probably what's going to make you pick that itinerary, but when you come back, those are the places that you're going to remember the most. In Northern and Western Europe, so many, for those that have kind of been there and done that with the Mediterranean, you've seen so much of the Med, you may want to look at something in Northern Europe and the Baltics. This is a longer cruise. This is 34 nights, but this starts and does Iberia. So it does the coast of Spain, and then it goes up and does Northern Europe and the Baltics. In Norway, Norway's been really popular too. This is a great 18-night itinerary that starts in Amsterdam and ends in Dublin and really goes all the way up to Tromsø, Bodo, and the North Cape of Norway. And Denmark, Sweden, and Finland, another really popular combination of countries that you could see on a Northern European cruise. So you could see here, you're going to all of these amazing places that typically you would not be able to go to and get into with a bigger cruise ship. Asia, it amazes me every year. Japan is our number one itinerary every year. What is wonderful about our Japan intensives is you can see if you look at this itinerary, we literally do the entire coast of Japan. Um, we do them most of the time is in the spring when it's cherry blossom season. So I think that's another thing that makes it so attractive. It does stop in Busan, South Korea. So for those that are looking to check off another box for another country, another continent. South Korea is very popular stop on this. But so many different options for our Japan intensives. And I think we have everything from 9 night, might be our shortest Japan, up until 15 nights. You can also travel through the Indian Ocean. You know, this particular itinerary is 16 nights. It's starting in Singapore and ending in the Seychelles. So really unique itinerary.
And Lori, I want to just say something too. When, as a client, when you're looking at that and you're like, oh, that's so far. Do I want to fly that far? Or, we can always look at the cruise that goes in front of it or behind it, and we can add cruises together. So I just want to add that because sometimes people don't think of that.
Right, exactly. And the way our itineraries are created is so that people can do back to back to back to backs with no
Yeah,
repeat in ports. So a lot of people, if they are going to Asia, they're going to Australia, New Zealand, they're going to go over and see as much as they can of that region in one trip. So
exactly.
that's super common. So you could do a longer cruise, like, this is a 29-night cruise if
Right.
you want to do Japan, China, and South Korea, but there might be shorter versions that you can put together to
Absolutely.
create the back-to-backs. And you get added discounts and onboard credits and things when you book back-to-backs. And this one happens to really be China intensive. China, we were not traveling to for a while, but we are back to traveling to China. And it's actually a really popular way for people to visit China and Hong Kong is to do it on a cruise ship. So keep that in mind if that region of the world is of interest to you. And probably you would not think of Africa, but we have many different versions of our Africa cruises. And what's really cool too is that we partner with a company called Mikado Safaris. So if you're going all the way again to Africa, most people are not going to go there without doing some type of a land extension, whether it's safaris, whether it's wineries, whether it's Cape Town, South Africa. So this is just one option. This is actually going out in January, but that's typically the time of year. Winter is when we do our Africa cruises. Um, this also happens to go to Mauritius, which is another spot that's kind of been popping up a lot lately that people have been talking about. So if Mauritius is on your bucket list, we have some options. This is another one, African coastline. So this again is going to start in Mauritius. So it's probably the cruise. It's going to be similar to the reverse of the cruise you just saw, but it's going to start in the Seychelles. And it's going to do the African coast and end in Cape Town. And Alaska. And I want to mention our Alaska cruises because we're starting to sail to Alaska in 2026. We have not sailed there since 2019. We stopped after COVID. We're just going back. But what I like about our Alaska cruises is that we do 10 and 11 night open jaw cruises from Whittier to Vancouver or Vancouver to Whittier. And what that allows is us to go to some ports that the bigger ships cannot get into. We spend more time in the ports. Now, we don't overnight in Alaska like we do in some of the other parts of the world, but we do stay in many cases till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. So you have the opportunity to get off and enjoy Alaska in the evening when all of the big ships have already left. So this happens to be the Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway. And every itinerary, again, is a little bit different. There's some ports that are on some itineraries and they're not on others. So you really get a chance to pick and choose the itinerary that goes to the places that you want to go to. And of course, you can add on a cruise tour. We have 2, 4, 5, and 6 night pre and post cruise tour options that you can add to any of your Alaska cruises. So, and I know this is not for everybody, but someday you may graduate and want to do a world cruise. And one of the things I notice with world cruisers is that a lot of times they start out doing segments of the world cruise. So whether they're doing 30, 40 nights, 50 nights, and the more they spend the time on board with the world cruisers, the more they desire to get to that point where they want to do a world cruise. Um, and I'll tell you, Roxanne, I had the most interesting conversation with a woman who did a world cruise in an inside cabin. And I said to her, how did you, I mean, how? And she said that she looked at the ship as her house and she looked at her cabin as her bedroom. So during the day, she enjoyed the ship. She enjoyed the excursions and all the inclusions. And when she went to bed, she went to her inside cabin, had the best night's sleep ever. And
And
that
then
was how
came
she
back up. That's awesome.
yeah, I've never heard of anyone do that. And she said I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. So I know that's not something that's for everyone, but I just love the fact that that is how she looked at it. So this will just kind of give you an idea of the World Cruise in 2027 starts in San Francisco and it ends in Copenhagen. And we're actually getting ready about the first week of November. We will be launching World Cruise 2028. So one of the things when you get to where you are, if you're considering a world cruise, there are so many inclusions that come with a world cruise that, over 40,000 inclusions. So whether it's onboard credit, all the essentials more package, Wi-Fi is included, premium beverage package. So we upgrade your beverage package. We give you a free one-night stay before we ship your luggage. So it's definitely an incredible value and something to just kind of put in the back of your head to, for one day. And we do have all different types of land packages that you could add to your cruise. I mentioned Mikado safaris. We also have cold pour in South America, and we have something called city stays. So if you want to just do one or two nights before or after a cruise, we have that. We have just the hotel stays, and then we have, of course, our shore excursions, which you can now book 18 months in advance. And then we have something unique to Azamara. That's our Perry Golf package. I'm not sure, Roxanne, have you ever had an opportunity to take a look at the Perry Golf before?
I have learned about it. I know a bit about it, but if you'd like to share it, that'd be great. I do find though, when I reach out to my clients and I share it, the wife wasn't so interested.
All right. So let me tell you why.
But I try and tell them the wife can go to the spa.
Well, you know what? So the way the Perry Golf package works, so we have Perry Golf cruises all over the world. So it's not just Europe. I mean, obviously we have Ireland, Scotland, Spain, Portugal, but we also have them all over the world. The way the Perry Golf works is that you have anywhere from 3 to 5 rounds of golf in your Perry Golf package. But what I always tell the significant other or the non-golfer in the group is that there's 2 packages. So there's the package that the golfer pays for. That's going to include their greens fees. It's going to include their cart, in some cases their caddy, a boxed lunch, drinks after your round. There's a non-golfer package as well. And what that includes is, as part of the package, we have social events on board the ship. So there's 2 or 3 nights during the cruise when we have a social event. So it's an open bar and drinks and food. And so the non-golfers all come to the social events, but when their partner is golfing, they can be off doing shore excursions, going to the spa, like you said, doing a little shopping. So they're not missing out on the social aspect of it. They're still included, but they can enjoy the social while their golfer gets to golf in some of the world-class golf courses around the world.
Absolutely.
I'm going to show a little video. So yes, you're a golfer. Think about that when you're planning your next vacation. So I just want to mention one thing as we finish up. I talked before about us being really the leader in destination immersion. We spend more time in port than any other cruise line, but we opted to really take it to a new level starting in 2025, and that's really going on now into 2026 and 2027. So let me give you a little highlight of what that looks like. So honestly, Roxanne, this destination immersion elevated could be a whole other webinar if you want to have one, to get
Absolutely.
into to get into some of the particulars. But so we really looked at four different aspects of our cruises and how we could go about bringing more culture, more exposure to the local people, the foods, the history, the culture to our guests on board. And we broke that into destination expansion, authentic local cuisine, onboard cultural engagements, and elevated excursions. So I won't get into all the particulars because there's a lot, but we've added something like 82 new ports of call over the next 3 years. We've added more of our city stays and our land packages. With local cuisine, we've added new destination entrees, new local beers, all different destination events on board the ship. So if you look down in that bottom right, in addition to the white night, we now do a destination dinner another night during the cruise where we bring on local entertainment and it's all local food being served. So just a lot of ways that, food is such a wonderful way to bring the culture to life on board a ship, and we're doing that in so many new ways. We've added 34 new Amazing evenings. So where it's a favorite of our guests, having those opportunities to go off the ship and see these incredible performances. So we're expanding those. We're adding something on board called Stories Under the Stars, where we have um, local storytellers come on and up on the pool deck at night. They serve s'more flavored drinks and they tell stories, and the guests curl up under their blankets in a pool chair and sit by and listen to these stories of the areas that they're at. So it's really pretty cool. And then one of the things I love with our excursions, I mentioned before, you can now book them 18 months in advance, but we're adding something new called nighttime and overnight excursions. So on these nights especially when we're overnighting in ports of call, we're doing nighttime excursions. So we're taking people out to experience the nightlife of different countries that we're in. So lots of new things happening in the world of our excursions. So that's really destination immersion elevated. Like I said, that could be a whole nother webinar that if we do, everybody should definitely log on for that because there's some really cool new stuff happening. You okay
Absolutely.
if I wrap up with some promotions?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
All right. So one thing that we always have going on is something we call our early booking bonus. So these are for that person that wants to book farther out, wants to know they got the best deal, they got the itinerary they want, the cabin that they want, and they're always going to get this great deal, which is 20% off, free Wi-Fi for one device, $300 onboard credit, and we upgrade both people to the premium beverage package. These are always the best deals. I've literally never had someone come back and say that a better deal came out after they booked their early booking bonus. So if you are someone who likes to book farther out, know that you can do that with confidence and know that you're going to get the absolute best price. And then for those sailings that aren't as far out, so like probably now through I'm going to say probably the end, 3/4 of the way through 2026, this particular promotion is applying. This will go until the end of September, and it's up to $750 onboard credit, plus all those always Azamara inclusions that I told you about. So those onboard credits are great to use for your shore excursions, for the spa, if you want to upgrade a drink package or buy a dining package. So onboard credit is always a super popular option for our guests.
Okay, Lori, thank you. That was amazing. That was amazing. You gave us such great information. For those who are new to Azamara, I know you're going to learn a lot. For those that are, continuing booking Azamara, we know why you do. And thank you, Lori, for your time. For those that need help, if you have a great travel agent, look, hold on to your agent. If you need a good agent, I would love to help you. Part of a consortium called Signature Travel Network. We have onboard credits on select sailings, and we also have private car and tours on select sailings as well that I can add to your voyage as a bonus just by booking with me. I've been an agent for 35 years. I will compare airfare. I will look at pre and post hotels. I will help you with transfers. I do different types of insurances. So I'm just here to support you as much as you need me. And I'll be your travel concierge. And I just wish everybody a bon voyage in their next sailing, because it's always great to be out there. And I wish you great weather. And thank you, Lori, again for joining us.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who follows the Azamara brand. Keep following. We're going to have more and more exciting things to share with you. And we would love to welcome you on board Azamara Cruises.
Thank you.